Hi, I'm Nick Bolton, the founder of Animas Centre for Coaching, and in this video I want to explore the holistic principle in transformative coaching. This principle invites us to see clients not just as isolated minds, but as whole layered living systems of meaning, emotion, embodiment, and deeper purpose. So when we talk about coaching the whole person, we're talking about far more than simply acknowledging different aspects of somebody's life. We're recognizing that every human being is an intricate interplay of mind, body, emotion, and spirit, each influencing the other in ways that are often subtle, sometimes profound, and always interconnected. Now, speaking of interconnection, it's useful to contrast the holistic principle with the systemic principle. The systemic lens invites us to look outward, to see how the client is shaped by the wider world, their culture, relationships, institutions, power dynamics, and the social structures that hold and constrain their experience. The holistic principle, by contrast, turns the lens inward. It attends to the client's internal ecosystem, their beliefs, emotions, bodily sensations, values, identity, sense of meaning. It recognizes that transformation requires us to work with all dimensions of a person's inner life, not just their cognition or behavior. But, and this is really crucial, the inner and outer systems are never separate. They're constantly shaping one another. The body responds to the pressures of the workplace. Beliefs are formed in families and cultures. Emotions arise in relational contexts. Identity is sculpted by social narratives. And a person's deeper sense of spirit, their longing, their purpose, their sense of belonging, is often awakened or diminished by the systems they inhabit. So when we coach holistically, we're not treating the inner world as if it floats freely from the outer world. We're recognizing that the internal landscape is always in conversation, in dialogue with the external one. The holistic and the systemic principles are distinct lenses, but they are deeply interwoven, two sides of the same reality of being human. This is why in transformative coaching, the holistic principle matters so much. It reminds us that the client's challenge rarely lives in just one domain. A dilemma that appears cognitive may be rooted in the body. A behavioral pattern may be sustained by unspoken emotion. A sense of confusion may point towards a spiritual or existential longing. And a physical state of contraction or exhaustion may reveal pressures that come from the surrounding system. To coach holistically is to make room for all of this, is to allow the client's full humanity to come forward rather than narrowing the conversation to what seems convenient or familiar. We listen to the whole person. We treat the body, the emotions, the intuition, and the deeper sense of self as sources of wisdom in their own right. Each offers information that thinking alone can't access. A tightening in the chest might reveal fear long before the mind can name it. A sense of expansion might signal alignment before a decision is fully articulated. A shift in energy might tell us that something meaningful has just been touched. When we attune to these multiple channels of knowing, the coaching becomes richer, more textured, and more truthful, because the whole person is participating in the inquiry, not just the part trained to speak in words. When clients experience this kind of holistic attention, they begin to see themselves more fully. They start to understand how their thoughts influence their emotions, how their emotions influence their body, and how their body influences their choices, and how all of these are shaped by and are shaping their relationships and their environment and their sense of purpose. Transformation in this sense isn't about adjusting one part of the system. It's about supporting coherence across the whole. And when someone feels internally aligned, when their mind, body, emotion, and spirit are in conversation, if you like, rather than conflict, the way they show up in the world becomes more grounded, more authentic, and more alive. So the holistic principle is ultimately an invitation. It's an invitation to see the client as a whole human being. And it's an invitation for the client to see themselves in that wholeness. It's a recognition that transformation is not simply cognitive, nor is it simply behavioral, but it's an integration of all aspects of the self, an inner coherence that ripples outwards into the wider system they're part of. And that's why the holistic and systemic principles belong together. One looks outwards, one looks inwards, but both speak to the same truth. The human beings are shaped by complex, interwoven layers of experience, and that coaching becomes transformative when it honors all of them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.